wanna be used, I don't wanna be loved. Baby, don't you wanna be used, or is it just me? Yeah. I just want for someone to take me for granted. Baby, don't you wanna be used, I wanna be used. I'm so tired of dreaming and falling in love. Won't you give me reason to fall into you, fall into you. I don't wanna be true, I want someone to lie with. I don't give a fuck if you do, fuck if you try. I would love for someone to take advantage. Baby, with arms wide open is mine, it's easy as pie. See, I'm so tired of dreaming and falling in love. Won't you give me reason to fall into you, fall into you. Oh, fall into you. Baby, you wanna fall into you. She's got a love I barely can remember. We've got a night that's gone by morning. I don't need love, neither do you. I'm done wasting time playing the fool. I just wanna be used, I don't wanna be loved. Baby, I deserve to be used, tear me apart. I just want for someone to break me to pieces. Just make sure when you do, you break from the heart. 'Cause I'm so tired of dreaming of falling in love. Won't you give me reason to fall into you, fall into you.
Welcome to The Hotspot. I'm Melanie Waldron, and today I'm here with Curran, a co-founder of the music label Styles Upon Styles. Welcome, Cam.
Thank you, Melanie. How's it going?
Fantastic. So great to have you here. We just watched one of the artists that is on your music label, and that's Roseheart. We watched the video Fall Into You. Awesome video. Can you tell me a little bit about this artist and how you got connected with him?
Roseheart's our latest artist. We've been working with him for a long time. Quincy Vidal, which we put them out, a duo with Leasha Julius, that Caleb, who is Roseheart, also did. And so we've been working with them for a long time, as well as a lot of our artists.
Awesome. So tell me about yourself. Tell me what you do. How did you get started? Were you originally a musician? How did you found Styles Upon Styles, the independent music label?
How a lot of things start. Crazy idea with a friend of yours, you know, and so we were in college. We liked a lot of the same music, and
you were in college overseas, right?
Yeah, we met in Scotland, and so it exposed us to a lot of electronic music.
Okay.
But over the years, you know, hip hop was always hip hop and R&B were always like a core interest of mine, and so. As
a musician or more as an aficionado?
Aficionado, just a fan, a fanboy, if you will. Yeah. So yeah, we just my friend Phil Tortoroli and I we met in college, and we were doing a website, doing interviews with artists, and eventually we said a lot of these different bands and DJs and rappers were not putting out records with anybody else, so why don't we do it? We think the music's great, we like to interview them, but let's help them, you know?
And how do you go about starting a music label?
There's a lot of trials and tribulations, yeah.
Did you have a mentor, or you kind of just throw yourself in and kind of see what happens?
We always admired different labels and finding music through those labels, like, oh, there's a new Hessel Audio release or something like that, and you know it's going to be good because you trust that label.
Mm-hmm.
But we just kind of winged it, you know, and definitely some pitfalls along the way, but the key is consistency, I'd say.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, learning along the way. And I think your label is definitely known for its mixed genre, which is awesome because you're representing and showcasing a lot of different styles of music. Is that because you have an eclectic taste yourself?
Yeah, I mean, you know, we called it Styles Upon Styles as a reference to a Tribe Called Quest song.
Awesome, I did recognize that.
Yes, yeah, a favorite of ours for sure. But really, yeah, I mean, we have Phil comes from more of a folk and electronic background and rock maybe a bit more, and I definitely was a bit more into hip hop and R&B growing up. But we both really like dance music as well, and we see music as, you know, why stick to one genre, you know, why stick to one style, so to say. So
absolutely, that's awesome. And now, just wondering, like, for the marketing sense of your label, do you have any issue because you're all genres? Does that have any complications for you guys?
It can be difficult. Different publicists, different ways to position each record.
Right, you don't have a set format because you don't have a set style.
A set audience, yeah.
Right, exactly.
It's definitely, you know, figuring out who that audience is each time for each record, and a little bit like reinventing the wheel, but we have fun with it.
Awesome, and I see we have some of your albums here today. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about printing vinyl and where that's going in the music industry as opposed to digital music, and you know, how that affects music in general and dispersing of the music. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. I mean, you know, obviously Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, these are things that everybody has now. It's the
accessibility of music.
The modus operandi of listening to music and finding it. And so vinyl is a dying art form, but we do find that artists really enjoy having, you know, a physical representation of their music. And I mean, you know, it's just nice to be able to put something down and without any kind of computer or phone involved, and you're listening to music, you know, it a little bit analog. And,
absolutely, and the artists are involved with painting. Or is there another artist, but you paint on the labels, right? They're all different, or is it different every time?
It's different every time. This series is called Bangers and Ash, and it was
which is an awesome series, by the way. I want you to talk about that as well.
Yeah, just kind of a silly idea we had, and based on our first artist who's here, Tom Lon, who's in Holland, was just kind of thinking, you know, he wanted to do this himself and create 200 bespoke, you know, each one's different, oil paintings, oil pattern paintings. And so with the series Bangers and Ash, we decided to have all of the art handmade.
By the artists themselves or by different artists?
In collaboration.
Awesome.
It's always the artists themselves or Phil and I doing it.
Oh, okay.
Or with the artist.
Very cool. You're both very multi-talented.
We just like to have fun. It's at the end of the day, we always joke that running a record label and Styles in particular is 60% fun and 40% tedious. Yes.
So you're based in New York City, or I should say Brooklyn. What is the music scene? How has it evolved in Brooklyn over New York? Is it different? Can you talk a little bit about that?
New York's it's as they say, the melting pot, and so you have so many different styles, so many different parties, a lot of different artists who are always coming up, and really we enjoy finding new artists and giving them a chance to thrive. That's breaking new artists is really what we're in the business of doing, and it's more difficult that way, but kind of what's the point if you're just taking artists from another label or
Exactly.
established artists?
Right,
Yeah.
and that way you're giving people a shot, you know, which is, I think you said, or how you kind of started your label too. You wanted to give all these artists that weren't being able to showcase their music, you wanted to give them an outlet for that.
Yeah, and just give them the spotlight. And you know, when we started, we were very small. Nobody'd heard of us, and so it really. It's been a matter of building our own reputation that
And
people
is that
can
by
trust
word of
us.
mouth, or just by your artists, or the combination of both?
Just a large combination, yeah, and different artists, and you know, different trajectories, and certain artists, you know, will become more widely known than others, but yeah, it's providing a platform.
Absolutely.
Essentially,
Which is
yes.
awesome. And how many artists do you represent?
Wow. We've worked with probably close to 25 artists over the last 5-6 years.
Wow.
Yeah, I would say somewhere in the ballpark of that. And always, we try and release some artists who are our core, and so come back to them second, third, fourth releases, albums and EPs. But
Which it must be really cool too to take an artist through their journey from where they started and to where they go. And I'm sure you encourage your artists, as you are multi-genre. Do they have the flexibility to go within the genres themselves?
exactly, we encourage that. Part of the Bangers and Ash series is, in particular, as a good example of that, we challenge an artist to make both a banger, as in like something for the dance floor, something everybody a little more up tempo.
Okay.
And so that's the B side of the record, and then the A side of the record, the Ash side, is something they can kind of relax and chill out to at home, something with some incense and other things to just kind of relax. And so we challenge them to do both, and so, which is a good challenge. It's like, make something.
I feel like some artists must really appreciate that, and some artists might struggle going outside of their comfort zone. Does that happen?
Very much so, yes. Some really relish a challenge, and others, everybody appreciates it, but some see it as more of a, you know, how am I going to do this?
Right,
Which we love that. We love challenging the artists, and in turn, you know, if we get challenged, usually you get better art that way, better music.
So you started this in what year?
2012.
2012. All right, so we're going into 2018. What is something that you see this year happening for both your artists and for the label?
This year, we are slowing down and focusing more. The past maybe 2-3 years, we've been on about a record a month clip.
Wow.
Which is kind of insane.
I would say so.
Yeah, I'd say like 8 or 9, maybe 10 records a year. And now we're going to focus on more like 4 or 5, which is, my sanity is a little bit more preserved, and we also can give more attention to the individual artists and make sure that we're doing right by them. So, not to say we haven't in the past, but
Absolutely. Cool. So in this political landscape, not to get political, but I'm going there too, how does that affect music in general? How does that affect your artists, and how does that affect your label, or does it not?
No, it does. I mean, we encourage giving back to the community, and we usually donate a portion of our sales for each record to a charity organization of the artist's choice. And so we've donated to the food bank. We've donated to immigration groups, you know, to support immigration, you know, progress, and we really. We kind of see it as, you know, we're just doing this, but we're not seeing it as a way to get rich quick or something like that. We would like to support the artists and also give back to the city that is birthing so many of these artists in the country.
Which is awesome. Do you find that a lot of other music labels do that, or does that kind of set you apart?
Perhaps it sets us apart a little bit. I do think we've taken our lead from other mentor labels over the years we've met in New York. Places like Revenge International, and there definitely is a precedent for that, for donating and giving back a bit as an arts organization or music record label. But yeah, I mean, it makes it a little bit more worthwhile, I think.
Absolutely. I think too, you know, music is a reflection of our world and what we need to say, and so that's awesome that you are giving a voice to new artists, and so everybody can hear their music and their art and the things that they need to say. What else do you want to tell me about your label?
Well, I mean, it's a changing world out there with streaming, and the value of music, the value of TV, movies, art. Everything's changing pretty quickly. I mean, just in the last couple years, we've seen a lot more revenue from music streaming, which is great, but you get a million streams of a song, and that's not necessarily going to equivalent. It doesn't come close to $1 million or something like that. And so,
which is very different from what it has been with the accessibility of music today.
It's a challenge, but we're happy to at least get something from these large tech companies who are hosting the music, and we just put that back into the artists and put that back into the label to continue doing our thing.
That's awesome. And so you're still working with your co-founder, Phil.
Yes.
Yeah. How do you guys have different backgrounds, you guys are different people. What do you both bring to Styles Upon Styles, and how does that balance the label?
It's interesting. I mean, we're very close friends, and we do a lot of work on email. It's good to give FaceTime to artists and managers, and be able to meet in person, obviously. But Phil's very he's very musical. He's an artist himself. He's released on a few different labels as James Place. So he has a very good, I trust his taste, and he trusts mine. And we know if a barometer for releasing on Styles Upon Styles is essentially, doesn't have to fall into any one bucket, but if Phil and I both love it 110%, then we're going to try and put it out.
Awesome. So you have two relatively different perspectives, but you can put that together to create an eclectic music label.
I think any two people have very different perspectives. Like, it's always going to be, and so it's, he recommends music to me, I recommend some to him. I know not to be like, oh my God, you have to listen to this, I absolutely love it, because he'll be like,
you don't want to sway him or push him.
Oh yeah, I'll just be like, yeah, I guess this is okay. And a few days later, he'll be like, oh my God, this is incredible. I'm like, yeah.
So how are you finding new artists and sharing that music with each other? Is it?
In the early days, it was SoundCloud and just surfing the internet, Bandcamp, and different really great resources for finding artists and finding little-known artists. But then,
so that the artists weren't reaching out to artists saying, "Give me your music." You're going to just finding what was accessible currently online.
Yeah, not necessarily like released music, but different, almost like a MySpace page, something like that.
Oh, MySpace, taking it way back.
I know, it's shameful. But yeah, and now it's really a lot of links between different artists. A friend of a friend, or hey, this is my partner on another music project we have, and would you like to hear it? And we always say yes. I mean, always happy to hear new music. That's what makes this fun.
Awesome. And because it's so eclectic, you want to have a different genres as we've discussed. But does that also limit you? Because if you say, oh, we just put out,
like a hip hop.
We don't want to do another hip hop. So do you try to like balance that through? Is that something you consider when you're?
We do. I mean, we like the contrast. It's really we like to surprise our listeners. Here's the Rose Heart Project, and coming up we have something that's very different from that. And here's a weird noise electronic, power electronic record. But then, here's like a nice folk kind of bluesy record. And that kind of contrast, it's fun to play with people's expectations, I guess. And
do you put out compilations albums as well with all different artists on one album?
We've put out a few digital compilations, like year-end ones, and we've done a few of those. They're fun. I think eventually that's a larger project that I think this year is a good experiment to see how we can handle less output and more focused output. of our different releases and artists. And so a compilation would be really fun to work on.
It would. I think it would showcase too the label in general, because you'd be showing all these different artists that you work with, and so you can kind of hear it in one fell swoop.
Oh, definitely, yeah. And I mean, we've done, we have label samplers. We give these out for free. And these have all of the range of artists. They're once per year, and so it contains tracks just from the full catalog of, say, 2016, 2017, which has been fun to do.
Cool. Again, so in New York now, what is the mainstream music happening, and what is the subversive sort of style that you think should be coming to the forefront?
Interesting question. Well, obviously Cardi B and New York hip hop is back in a big way, and so hopefully that creates. I'm a fan of mainstream music as well, of hip hop and pop music, which are very intertwined now. So hearing Cardi B and different artists, Rock Marciano on the radio and stuff is fantastic. But the underground, I feel like, has always been beating in over in Brooklyn, at least the last decade, 2 decades. And so we have a lot of dance music, a lot of electronic music coming up. There's still some, pop, hip hop. Rock is a little hard to come by in Brooklyn these days, but the electronic scene is very healthy. A lot of dance parties, techno, house music.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that you have all the different styles, and I feel like, so do you think electronic hip hop, there will be some sort of amalgamation hybrid moving forward, or?
Let's just hope not for a return of like new metal. I think that's the big thing. Yeah. There's something cooking for sure. There's always something brewing and something new, and it's not about finding what that is and trying to capitalize on it.
Right.
It's more just staying abreast of it and staying aware of it, and stay curious.
Right. So you're not necessarily driving the ship, but you're kind of riding on it, and you're like, where are we going with music, and how can we be involved, and how can we put it in the spotlight?
And just that the thrill of discovery. I mean, that's that's Spotify's whole thing, right? But honestly, I don't really want an algorithm telling me, what new music to listen to, much more than I want, a computer telling me this sandwich is better than this sandwich. Like, I'll tell for myself when I taste it.
That's awesome. Tell for yourself when you taste it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Cam. It has been awesome.
It's been a pleasure. Yeah, this has been really great.
Get to chat with you. We're going to end with another video. This is going to be King Garbage, Lost in the Sauce.
Look, be a lady, gone and done. Look, be my baby, who's moving on. Let me go out, I'm back at the ranch. Lost in the sauce, where my mind feels nothing better. Words come out of lost, cause I can't see nothing better, baby. Lost in the sauce, where my mind feels nothing better. Words come out of lost, cause I can't see nothing better, baby. promises of raining back again, fresh mint deep breath again, and again, and again, and again, and again, and again. Meanwhile, back at the ranch.